Hi everyone, this is Karak from Angrycentaurgaming, and today I am stoked to bring you the review for the early access game, The Long Dark. As it's an early access game, you know what that means. It isn't complete, but what's there the developer's asking money for, so that means I'll be trying to figure out if this is worth your hard-earned walrus skins and payment, or if you should just put it into deep freeze and stick with something a bit safer. As The Long Dark stands now, it's sort of a virtual death simulator with more shit aimed towards your eventual demise than Israel, except replace the sand and camels and shit with wind, wolves, and snow. Lots and lots of snow. And where apparently most items are made with the durability of a hammer made of Lincoln logs and a piece of fucking French toast. Currently, only the sandbox is available, which means being thrown out into a snowy wasteland like a soccer team and forced to live off the land facing death by an assortment of natural causes, because even if a wolf eats you bowels first, it's actually still, frankly, pretty natural. The story mode also seems to promise some rather weighty stuff in the future, including voices by Mark Meir, Jennifer Hale, and a story that involves you discovering the real reason why everything is frozen solid. I simply assume that somewhere in this game I'll find a digital copy of my ex-girlfriend's heart. Let's take it for a drive, shall we? Graphics are up first. So, this game isn't a looker, and it's most likely not supposed to be. It's more of a basic kind of game with low polygon everything, and tries to elicit an atmosphere with natural elements, sound, and gameplay, rather than polished graphics. Does it work? Somewhat. Sure, you see a wolf get stuck in the limbs of a downed tree and watch them run for hours. Sure, even some of the snowy hilltops are a bit triangular for my liking, but the game uses color and lack of color and lighting to do what it can with what it has. It's not ugly, but the graphics are going to be the first thing you'll notice. Sound, music, and voice. Sound first, and the sounds are excellent, with the wind ripping through the trees eliciting a real feeling of danger, the smacking sound of your wet lips eating a 45-month-old candy bar seemingly accurate, and the large assortment of activities you can partake in, all having matching sound sets that does more to lodge you directly into the gameplay than the graphics actually do. Sound is well done, adds to the gameplay, which is about all you can really ask for. Well, you can ask for anything, but that's what you're going to get with this game. Music. Very little, but what's there draws parallels to the sound and evokes atmosphere and a bit of bow-clinching danger from time to time. It isn't in your face, but it is prevalent enough that you'll notice its presence when it pops up. Overall, it's good. It's just fairly lean. Voice. This is well done. I mean, sure, you get tired of your character saying, "That's smarts," when you've blundered into your campfire for the 40th fucking time like a blind man, but he does have a habit of bitching about everything all the time. But as that's the name of the game, and here the game is survive until the world crushes your hopeless, emaciated, and frozen icicle pop body, I think the voice actually does a good job of informing you about that status fairly well. Now, gameplay. As a survival simulator and just entering early access, The Long Dark is insanely deep for just one part of an overall game. You're dropped into a semi-random location, and your job is to scrounge, track, hunt, kill, run, hide, and sleep yourself to the longest time possible, basically. That means you have an assortment of stats to worry about. Let's list the main attributes so we can get to the frozen, half-rotten meat of this entire thing. Cold, which tracks you being cold. Hunger, which is surprisingly about how hungry you are. Fatigue, which shockingly tells you how tired you are. And lastly, thirst, which as it gets worse is simply a reminder that in the wilderness you would drink piss or Mountain Dew to stay alive. Or grape soda, because for some reason this shit is popular in this area. The moment you start the game, you need to get your ass moving, watching that you don't run too much or carry too much and expend too many calories, but at the same time scrounging items from deserted camping grounds, shacks, forestry cabins, and so forth. You have a great deal of things you can do within your two main menus, and everything you do takes time, ticking down a digital clock until one of your traits bottoms out Jenna Hayes style and ends up killing you. Within the inventory menu, you can see all the items you have, how you're using them, and how much everything weighs and what it does, while in the main survival menu, you can do things like forage for wood, start a fire, and an assorted number of actions that are all basically there just to make you think you have a fucking chance in hell, because you don't. The cold, hunger, and thirst are relentless bitches and enemies of your human body in this game, far worse than a boss in Dark Souls. Just when you countered hunger, thirst pops up, requiring you to not only melt snow, but boil it, because up here, wherever you are, the snow seems to be directly created from Ebola camp water. Then you get that taken care of, and you start getting tired, but now you're cold, so you better forage for some firewood to start a fire. Since everything takes time, you get to watch in horror, as all the bars you have lovingly worked into almost acceptable levels are chewed up, and now you spend your time sleeping hungry, waking up thirsty, and then finding out the fire went out in the middle of the night. And that's if you stayed in a cabin or in a shelter of some sort, because if you didn't, there's a good chance you're just going to wake up dead. Though you can find random shelters, the cold is the worst thing in the game, and luckily you can find an assortment of clothes to wear either in random locations or on the bodies of those people too stupid to apparently have put them on before dying. Sadly, the game doesn't take into account the fact that it's really fucking cold outside, which means if you sent me out there, I'd wear 10 pairs of jeans, 14 sweaters, and so many pairs of underwear my balls could be used as hand warmers. But there is some layering possible, just not as many as I would think would be realistic. Also, you have many items that can help you, like tools, random foods like candy bars, not possible to freeze water bottles, grape soda, and the carcasses of dead animals. Or if you're lucky enough to find a gun and some ammo, perhaps one you killed yourself, then fought a wolf away from, only to find out that you can't carry it back to your base because if you try to carry any more weight, you'll just fucking drop. The game is all about give and take, with the world giving you niblets of happiness and then taking them away in some of the most nefarious ways you can imagine. Just when you think you found a good place to camp, you start running out of food. Just when you find food, you're tired and only can take so much back to camp. And sadly, the world is littered with the bodies of those that failed before you. Honestly, as I played, I began to think that this was actually just a fucking massive morgue that some Canadian had said, fuck it, let's not build walls around it, because the world is strewn with the bodies of the dead, reminding you that it's just a matter of time before you'll be tits up with a wolf eating your groin for Scooby snacks. Men who have braved the wilderness and failed are all over the world. On their frozen bodies, you might find things like painkillers or bandages or antibiotics that can help when you jump off a snowbank, get attacked by a wolf, or sprint through open flames like a firewalker hanging out with Tony Robbins. However, where this game shines is the fact that almost everything fits in with everything else. If you want to eat a can of beans like a normal human and not headbutt your way into it like the hog you are, you have to find something to open or smash it with. If you want to eat a deer carcass, you need a tool to cut the meat off. If you want to start a fire, you need all the components, and if you want to tear up the extra clothing you're wearing to make fire-starting materials, yep, you need tools for that. Everything in the game degrades with time until it shatters, yes, even axes and can openers. Frankly, this game leans a bit too close to Far Cry 2's notorious guns from Lego equipment damage system than I would like, but I guess they didn't want you to have an axe that would never break, so they do break. Mine broke after a single cutting of some firewood, so apparently it was made of peanut brittle or something. However, none of these issues stop A Long Dark from being fun. From grabbing your frozen groin and demanding just one more run, it tasks you with being intelligent, and frankly, some of us just are not up to that task. But that's the fun here. You get to experiment with a character dying from being frozen to death, and it's not yourself. So what do you get with A Long Dark? Listen, the game does some things very well, like well enough thought out systems for survival, a very good weather system, excellent sound, music, and voice, and offers a bit of hard as nails difficulty for those that like that kind of thing. However, it does miss a couple steps. It frankly looks fairly poor, has bad collision detection on many items in the world, and the animals react in very odd ways to your presence, or they run off and get stuck in a tree like they're trying to celebrate Arbor Day early. I rate games on a buy, wait for a sale, rent, or never talk about it again rating scale. This is actually a buy. It offers more than enough hours of gameplay and survival fun for anyone who likes these kind of games, and they will enjoy it. It has some fairly rough graphics, but offsets that with excellent sound, music, and voice, and is one of the more robust and problem-free early access titles I've run into. They also hint that the game will be more expensive later on in the development cycle, and I can see that happening as well, so I don't have any real problem saying, if this is your kind of thing, then go for it. But if you don't like that difficulty level, and if you think it might be a problem that the graphics aren't the best looking, then you may want to stay away. Overall though, for me, what I like and what I got, no problem spending the money. So that's it, the review's over. If you liked the video, hit like. If you disliked it, hit dislike, share it, whatever. Just remember one thing, if you're freezing cold, the absolutely best thing to do is to take a massive chug of pop from a metal can. Exciting. This is Karak calling from somewhere in the Canadian wilderness and drinking a bowl of water. Peace out.